Wally and Scrappy both, they have the full run of our house, 24/7. Yep. What are you doing, Stink Pot? What are you doing?
Pets are an amazing little animal companion that truly can make your life a lot better and brighter, but they're also a lot of work, especially when you head off the beaten path and decide to venture into the territory of animals that are less common to have as pets.
While there are many animals that are illegal to own, this doesn't stop people from finding ways around the rules, or sometimes exceptions are made for extenuating circumstances. From some of the cutest animals who need to be protected, to some animals that are just downright dangerous to own, all the way to some animals that simply just don't make good pets. There's a human out there who either has them or wants them. All of this has led up to us being here ready to hit you with the top 10 illegal pets that people own.
Hey, before we get into today's video, Olivia, guess what?
What?
There's a new channel happening.
What?
Called Bumblebee. Speaking of weird animals, I would love a pet bumblebee. They're like the whales of the insect world. You know? Because they're just so big and fuzzy and they just go to flower and then to it. So if that doesn't encourage you to come and visit Bumblebee, then I don't know what will. Subscribe. Do it. So you can stay up to date on what the heck we're going to do on that channel, because it's going to be a wild time.
Surprise, surprise. Okay, starting off this list in our number 10 spot, we have lemurs. Growing up watching Zaboomafoo made this one hard to put on this list, considering how badly that show made me want my own pet lemur. And to know that there are people out there living my dream hurts. But after doing some research, I think it's probably best if we all just leave the lemurs alone. Not only are lemurs illegal to own in many states, but the sale and transfer of lemurs is also highly regulated in almost all of the states, which would of course prove to be one major obstacle. Other than the legalities, lemurs are highly social creatures, so unless you're planning on having a whole conspiracy, which is what a group of lemurs is called, it would just be cruel and unusual treatment, and if you did have a whole conspiracy, you better watch out because that can be highly dangerous. Female lemurs have many scent glands that they use to attract males in the wild, so if your pet is a female, chances are she's going to be leaving her scent everywhere, and apparently it does not smell very pleasant. Lemurs love to make noise, so they'll probably most often be singing their song as loud as possible, and lemurs have diseases that can be transferred to humans and vice versa. I think this is all pretty good reasons to not have a lemur as a pet, but hey, maybe that's just me.
Number 9, hedgehogs. I've known at least a few people who have had hedgehogs as pets. I've seen them, I've pet them, they're super cute, and one person even bred them, so when I came across this little fact I was kind of shocked, but they're actually not illegal in Canada. Hedgehogs are just like spiky hamsters, and they fit perfectly in your pocket, but these animals are actually illegal to own in California, Hawaii, Georgia, and Pennsylvania, and even Washington and New York City have laws against owning them. The reason these states have decided to make these little guys illegal are due to one, the fact that they are spiky, poor things can't help it, but they can definitely lead to injury, especially if you try to unroll them when they're hiding and they're doing their thing, or if you rub them the opposite way. Don't do that. And 2, they can carry foot and mouth disease, which can be passed on to humans. There's also the slightly irritating fact that they are nocturnal, so unless you are too, expect to be kept awake by little squeaks. And I guess in New York City, so will your, I don't know, roommates and neighbors. So.
In our number 8 spot today we have skunks. This one might seem crazy to think that people would even want to own it, but of course there really are people out there. There isn't a ban on skunks everywhere, but there most definitely is in 17 states. Maybe it's the 17 states where people are asking if they can have a pet skunk? Skunks can have their scent glands removed so that you don't have to bathe in tomato juice every night, but if that's the cost of having a skunk, I have to ask if it's worth it, and is that fair? Another reason why skunks are not meant to be kept as pets is because they are hunters who like to hunt in the wild. They want to be out catching rodents and birds and living a hunter-gatherer lifestyle, considering they are meant to be wild animals. Skunks also need a more calm environment, so if you're a busybody or have kids, this is just another pet that's not for you. Skunks would need to be dewormed regularly, and also there's no rabies vaccine for skunks, so they could potentially very easily pass the disease onto other animals or humans if the skunk ends up feeling a bit feisty. Regardless of everything I just said, there really are people who own skunks as pets. I can imagine there's reasons that would make them desirable to have as a pet, but truthfully we should just let wild animals be wild animals.
Number 7, sugar gliders. Super cute, right? Impossibly cute and ridiculously charming, these little buddies are all the rage. Though they are illegal to own in Alaska, California, Hawaii, and Pennsylvania, St. Paul, Minnesota, and New York City. New York City already has a rat problem, they don't need any more problems. Alternatively described as flying squirrels, I can 100% see why people would want to own these critters as pets, but they too come with challenges. Though they are omnivores, they need to drink specialized water and nectar, which can be expensive and hard to find. They are also nocturnal and need a dark environment during the day to hang out in, and then of course they need something to do at night. So again, if you're a night owl, this might work for you, but probably not. It will also be a struggle to find a vet who can actually work with them, as many refuse to take them on as patients. So if they get sick, help will be difficult to find. So there is definitely a quality of life issue here, but they still remain a popular exotic animal to own. They can glide through the air for over 100 feet without touching the ground and are relatively social. They are docile, live a pretty decently long time, and can do tons of tricks if you figure out how to train them. Though they are still considered wild animals, so again, maybe stick with a hamster. I don't know.
In our number 6 spot today we have turtles. I absolutely could not believe it when I found out that this is a pet that is illegal in a lot of places, because I know people who have had or still own turtles. This isn't the most widely banned pet, but it is still illegal in some places, with others having pretty strict guidelines in place about the turtles you can own. I feel like at this point it's common knowledge that turtles often carry salmonella on the outside of their shell, which of course can pose a threat to humans. This also carries to their cages and aquariums, which need cleaning and maintenance, but it can be dangerous if you don't really know what you're doing. Turtles also tend to grow to the size of their habitat, which is why you'll see much larger turtles out in the wild than you'll usually see when people have them as pets. It would be quite difficult to have a turtle as a pet and be able to provide it a big enough area to live in where you can also allow it to grow to its full size and make sure your entire home isn't covered in salmonella. Also, your turtle will most likely outlive you, so if you must have one as a pet, you better make sure someone else is ready to take on the responsibility of a pet turtle in the case of your passing.
Number 5. You knew this was coming. Bengal tigers. Move over, Tiger King. Of course tigers are on this list, because there are several reasons that these shouldn't be pets that involve both your health and theirs. The cats and dogs that we have today are a result of thousands of years of domestication and breeding. They were once wild animals, and it took a lot of patience to train them to be man's best friend. But even still, there are dogs and cats that are prone towards aggression. Tigers are still born and bred wild animals, and though they can be affectionate, especially if they consider you a part of their pride, they can still turn on you in a whim. Additionally, they need tons of space, plenty of activity, and tons of food. Wild animal, remember? For all these reasons and more, these tigers are illegal to own as pets in at least 19 states, and where it is allowed, you must prove that it is at least 4 generations removed from its wild ancestors. You also could be contributing to a black market poacher industry if you even attempt to own one, so maybe just don't. If the Tiger King couldn't handle it, then neither can you, Fred, okay?
In our number 4 spot today we have penguins. This is one I can admit is not a widely owned pet, but it has and does still happen. Although penguins usually live in Arctic temperatures, it's not necessary for their survival, which makes people think that taking them out of their natural habitat is just totally fine. All 18 species of penguins are actually protected, which is something we don't see happen very often with an animal. If you even came across a penguin or its egg in the wild, you have to report it first before you're even allowed to interact with it. That's how protected they are. There is also an international treaty that regulates the trade of certain wild animals, and you guessed it, penguins are most definitely on that list. There are even 2 species of penguins that are currently listed as endangered, which 100% means that they're off the table as pets, and if you find a way to illegally obtain one, you have to deal with the ethics of that on your own conscience. I totally get the appeal of a pet penguin, as they are insanely adorable creatures, but they are not meant to be pets, and we just all need to accept that.
Number 3. Chausies. Another one in the cat family. We mentioned Bengal tigers, but of course some crafty people decided to get inventive because they just needed a wild animal in their home. Like, I don't even know if they have anything precious in there. Like, oh man. Chausies are a kind of hybrid cat that was created by breeding jungle cats and domesticated cats. They are twice as large as your regular tabby, and like jungle cats, are not content to just lie around all day doing nothing, though they kind of do, but they need activity. They have to go for walks, long walks, plus additional activities, otherwise they will transform into a feline nuclear bomb. You think cats are bad now, tearing up your curtains or staring you down while knocking off a vase from a mantle? Just like... To reiterate, if you expected that wild animal instincts can be bred out that quickly when it's taken us thousands of years in every other example, then you're dead wrong. But if that doesn't scare you, their poop will when you step in it on your way to work in the morning. They refuse to use litter boxes, so good luck potty training them. Yeah, good luck.
In our number 2 spot today, we have alligators. I said that it would be hard to believe that someone wanted a skunk as a pet, but I think alligators might take the cake on that one. Alligators are banned as pets in almost all states, but where they're not banned, you most definitely need a permit, and I think we can all understand why. If you do get the required permission to own one, firstly, I hope you're prepared, but you'll need to provide the alligator with an enclosure that will ensure the animal stays in and everything else is kept out unless necessary. You're also fully responsible and liable for anything the alligator does, which is a lot of responsibility to take on for a strong and feisty creature. Things can happen so quickly and when you least expect it, and an alligator can cause lethal damage with just one bite sometimes, so you most definitely have to weigh out those risks. If you own an alligator, you'll also need to let wildlife authorities regularly inspect the alligator and its habitat. It's always annoying to have people come and scope out your home, or in this case your pet's home, but I think we can all agree that this is a rule that's probably for the best, and they can help you monitor your alligator to make sure it's feeling happy and healthy.
And now in our number 1 spot, we have zebras! Specifically in Nevada and many other states, zebras are considered illegal to own as a pet. This is also really funny because I do believe I know someone in Canada who has one. I will never tell. But also, my question is, when did horses go so far out of style that zebras were even considered as an alternative? There was the 2005 movie Racing Stripes that I vaguely remember seeing in theaters about a zebra trying to race with the horses. Adorable, but in reality zebras can't talk and are actually pretty aggressive and have been known to hurt and kill humans with a single kick. It's also really hard to earn their trust as an owner, even if you raised one in a domestic environment. Also take after Steve McQueen, as they are constantly looking for the next great escape. Even fenced areas aren't much of an obstacle for them. When they do escape, they are almost impossible to catch, as they would rather run themselves to death than be caught. Which is super sad. Why? Because maybe they are wild animals. So if you really want a zebra, maybe consider finding like an albino mule and painting stripes on them rather than owning a zebra. But also, I'm kidding, like don't do that. Also, zebras drown other young, and that's very violent and scary.
Alright guys, that has been our list for today. Thank you so much for checking it out.
Let us know down below in the comments if you would own any of these pets if they weren't, I don't know, illegal.
Or maybe you're a rule breaker who already does own one of them.
I've been your host, Rachel Fisher.
I'm Olivia Kozlowski.
And remember to subscribe and like and check out Bumblebee as well.
Heck yeah. Bye.
Bye.